يعطيكم العافية. Today we will start with chapter 4. This is about pacemakers. We will start with a review about the heart conduction system and how the heart beats. It's because of the electrical impulses generated from the heart muscles. فإذا عندنا هون electrical signal. The electrical signals begin in the sinoatrial node, what's called the SA node. وهذا ال SA node is located here at the top of the right atrium. The SA node is sometimes called the heart's natural pacemaker. It's the natural pacemaker of the heart. طيب, when the electrical impulse is released from this SA node, it causes the atria to contract. It causes both atria, left and right atria, to contract, and then the signal is passed through the AV node, through the atrioventricular node. هلا هيدا atrioventricular node عنده شغله كتير مهمه، هي transmission delay. It causes a transmission delay. It delays the electrical impulse. ليش؟ To ensure that the atria have ejected their blood into the ventricles. فإذا هو ال AV node بينتظر لحتى يتأكد إنه الاتria fully or completely eject the blood into the ventricles. So the AV node checks the impulse. It checks for the impulse and then send this impulse along a track, and this track is called the bundle of His. The bundle of His divides into a right and left bundle branches. وبعدين هدول البندل branches give rise to thin filaments here across the ventricles or across the lower heart. هدول filaments are known as Purkinje fibers. فإذا bundle of His divides into a right bundle branch and the left bundle branch مثل ما شفنا هون بالصورة. A right and the left bundle branch which lead to the heart's lower chambers أو the ventricles. الاس اي نود هلا قبل، فاذا البندل اوف هيز، لما بحكي انا عن البندل اوف هيز او البيركنجي فايبرز، فاذا هني بيساعدوا على انتشار الالكتريكال سيجنالز عبر الفنتريكلز وبيسببوا وبيؤدوا للكونتراكشن. The SA node sends electrical impulses at a certain rate, at a fixed rate, but the heart rate may still change depending on other elements. These elements may be physical, may depend on physical demands, on the stress, on hormonal factors, and other factors. فإذا عادة أو ممكن بعض الأشخاص يصير معهم block in the heart's conduction system. فإذا their heart's conduction system is blocked. If an impulse is blocked as it travels through the bundle branches, we say that this is the bundle branch block. We will see later what's the solution for such a problem. Then فإذا عندنا the waves of depolarization that spread through the heart during each cardiac cycle generate electrical currents. Well, electrical currents spread through the body's interstitial fluids and eventually up to the body's surface. وأكيد على the body's surface we can use electrodes. We can place some electrodes on the body surface, يعني on the skin, and these electrodes are used to detect, could be used to detect such electrical potentials. فإذا الإلكترودز فينا نحطهم على السكن on opposite side of the heart, and these electrodes then generate signals we can record signals. The signals will be filtered, amplified, and recorded as a measure of the cardiac electrical activity. طيب هيدا الشيء انتم شايفينه قبل وبتعرفوه. فاذا هيدي electrical activity of the heart or cardiac electrical activity is termed ECG or electrocardiogram. فاذا هيدي record is termed ECG or electrocardiogram. Well, ECG is an important diagnostic tool to determine whether any cardiac malfunction may have an underlying electrical reason. فإذا في حال عندنا أي مشكل بالهارت، في حال عندنا أي problem من خلال الاي سي جي. فإذا الاي سي جي هي diagnostic tool، هي tool أكيد لتشخيص المشكل بقلب الهارت، ومن خلالها بنقدر نحدد إذا هيدي المالفانكشن أو هيدي البروبلم in the heart هي جاية من electrical reason. As you see here, the normal ECG is composed of many segments which are called PQRST segments or PQRST waves. طبعا خلينا نحكي عن هدول ونتذكرهم. Let's take a review. فإذا ال P wave here ال P wave represents أو he corresponds to atrial depolarization. The P wave corresponds to atrial depolarization أو atrial contraction. فإذا at the P wave هون شو بيصير عنا؟ بيكون عنا depolarization of the left and right atrium. QRS segment هلا عادة QRS segment or QRS complex he include Q wave, R wave and S wave. طيب هدول الwaves occur in rapid succession. لذلك هون بنسميهم QRS complex وهن represent the electrical impulse as it spreads through the ventricles. وهي عادة indicate ventricular depolarization. فإذا ال P wave indicates the atrial depolarization, the QRS represents the ventricular depolarization. وهي هون the QRS complex starts just before ventricular contraction. فإذا at this point, at this wave, the Q wave هون starts the ventricular contraction. So P wave indicates atrial depolarization, QRS indicates atrial or ventricular depolarization. T wave, this wave here, T wave indicates the ventricular repolarization. هلا هون بس ملاحظة إنه when a T wave in general, when a T wave occurs in the opposite direction of the QRS، يعني إذا كانت ال QRS positive وال T wave negative بتكون بالعكس بهالاتجاه بهالشكل negative. فإذا هون ممكن هيدي الساين تكون indication إنه ل cardiac pathology، ممكن تكون indication لمشكل معين قلب الهارت. فإذا T wave also is important and it may be an indication of many heart pathologies. فإذا this is the ECG. So the ECG consists of P, QRS and T waves. حكينا عنهم هلا بالتفصيل. فإذا following ventricular contraction يعني following the QRS complex ventricle muscle cells repolarize and this reversing electrical currents produce the T wave. والT wave عادة typically occurs 0.25 to 0.35 seconds following the ventricular depolarization. Now cardiac pacemaker artificial cardiac pacemaker. Let's talk about the artificial cardiac pacemaker. أمتى نحن بحاجة هون to implant an artificial cardiac pacemaker inside the human body. فإذا إذا عنا كذا مشكل، فإذا إذا عنا مشكل بالاس اي نود، إنه عن natural SA node fails to generate a normal sinus rhythm, fails to generate electrical impulses، فإذا بهالحالة نحن بحاجة ل artificial cardiac pacemaker. أو كمان ممكن يكون عندنا هون مشكل بال AV node. We have a malfunctioning AV node, and so we can use also an artificial cardiac pacemaker. فإذا cardiac pacemaker in general is used when we have a problem in the SA node or AV node. The cardiac pacemaker as a block diagram, it consists of, this is a figure of the cardiac pacemaker. It consists of a pulse generator. It consists of leads or wires. It consists also of a battery and a programmable timing circuit. فإذا البulse generator عادة he produce the excitations, produce the excitatory signal, يعني it produces the excitation. The wires هني connect the pulse generator to the cardiac tissues. The battery he just to power the pulse generator. It's used as a power to power the pulse generator. وعندنا كمان ال programmable timing circuit which could be controlled to control the pulse rate. The device, the cardiac pacemaker, generally is implanted in the upper chest here, as you see here in the figure, just below the skin. Okay, the pacing lead connects to are connected to the from the pulse generator to the heart tissues. These are flexible insulated wires with an electrode tip. طيب هيدا التip can be inserted through a vein into the heart وهو carries أكيد the impulses from the pulse generator to the heart, and it stimulates the heart to beat. هدول leads that are inserted via the vein into the heart have tines on the end مثل ما انتم شايفين بهالشكل. They have tines on the end or have a screw on the end which can be threaded into the cardiac muscle لحتى نقدر نعلقه أو يقدر يثبت عند ال cardiac muscles. One type of pacemakers is the asynchronous pacemaker. هذا الاسynchronous pacemaker هو أول type developed in the mid 20th century. تقريبا بسنة 2000. بال2000 صار عندنا الاسynchronous pacemaker. شو مواصفاته هذا الاسynchronous pacemaker؟ هو أكيد an implanted pacemaker. هو delivers stimuli at a fixed rate. هي عنده خصائص انه هو provides uniform rate, provides a fixed rate, وهو طبعا independent of any atrial or ventricular activity. خلاص هو it generates a uniform rate regardless of what is going on in the heart or the rest of the body. طيب هيدا الاسynchronous pacemaker, you have here a block diagram of this asynchronous pacemaker. فإذا هو composed of a power supply, an oscillator, a pulse output circuit, lead wires and electrodes. هلا ال power supply أكيد هي ضرورية to supply energy to the circuit. عادة ممكن نستعمل battery. أكيد ال battery sources are used. الoscillator هو establishes the pulse rate for the pacemaker. فإذا هو control the pulse output circuit الأوسيليتر، بيتحكم بالpulse output circuits، والpulse output circuits provide the stimulating pulse to the heart عبر الليدز والالكترودز. فإذا الpulse is conducted along wires to the cardiac electrodes. هيدا هو بكل بساطة الاسynchronous pacemaker. هلا طبعا التايب اوف ستيمولاي نحن قلنا انه فاذا عندنا هون generation لستيمولس حيكون عندنا هون pulse output، يعني حيكون عندنا اكيد ستيمولس. هيدا الستيمولاي او الستيمولس ممكن يكون constant voltage amplitude او constant current amplitude pulse. طيب constant voltage يعني اكيد يا بده يكون voltage يا بده يكون current. فإذا إذا كان constant voltage amplitude pulse هو حيكون عنده range typically between 5 to 5.5 volts كامبليتيود عم نحكي، وكمان with a duration of 500 to 600 microseconds. وإذا كنا عم نحكي ب constant current amplitude pulses فإذا هني typically have the range between 8 to 10 milliampere with a duration of 1 to 1.2 milliseconds. The rate of this asynchronous pacemaker range between 70 to 90 beats per minute. Here you can see an asynchronous pacemaker. فإذا هون خلينا نحكي كمان عن الوايرز، لأنه الليد وايرز كمان لازم يكون عندهم خصائص معينة. فإذا هني لازم يكونوا good electrical conductors، هذه أول شغلة. كمان they must be mechanically strong. لازم كمان هون their distal ends must withstand the constant motion of the beating heart. فإذا الليد وايرز لازم يكون عندهم هالثلاثة characteristics: good electrical conductors, must be mechanically strong، كمان لازم يكونوا عندهم resistance to the constant motion of the beating heart. فإذا to meet these requirements lead wires ممكن يكونوا consist of interwound helical coils of spring wire alloy molded in a silicon rubber cylinder. هون نحن عم نحكي عن الماتيريال of the lead wires. فإذا ليش؟ لأنه الهيليكال coil of the wire شو بيعمل؟ minimizes stresses applied to it. And the multiple strands serve as insurance against failure of the pacemaker following rupture of a single wire. فإذا هيدي الادvantage of using this type of lead wires. This is concerning the first type of pacemakers, the asynchronous pacemaker. طبعا هذا الاسynchronous pacemaker حاليا ما عاد استخدم، هيستخدموا شيء متطور أكثر و more efficient. حنشوفه in the next video.